There you go. Hey everyone, I'm Madonna and this is David, and we're going to just do a quick little tip of the day, which is 5 tips to help to improve our rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
Right, and these tips could be as good as AI working it out for you.
Good old AI. Well, mindfulness and meditation.
Right.
Do you agree with mindfulness?
This is for RSD, Rejection Sensitivity Dysphoria.
Yeah, do you agree with mindfulness?
Agree. It depends on how you do it.
Because I've had some clients who have found that totally useless, and they've worked hard on and just go, yeah, no, doesn't do a thing for me.
There's a lot of people who have an issue because it depends on the way it's taught. Like, what's mindfulness? Does it mean that because the type of meditation it is really simple. You just sit there and you watch your thoughts go through like clouds and don't attach yourself to them. That's the basic technique. That's a bit boring for people with ADHD sometimes because they're actually find it.
It's more fun if you say to your brain, don't think of monkeys.
Right.
Okay. It's hard to stop the monkeys if you say don't think of monkeys.
No, but there's lots of being in the present is a way to do it, like eating mindfully.
Yeah.
Right, actually doing things with your full consciousness, going for a walk mindfully.
Yes.
And being aware of, actually doing things mindfully is good.
Yeah.
Whereas in a lot of the mindfulness research, I find that actually if there's something causing help, it's often the breath work they're doing rather than the mindfulness meditation.
Right. Interesting.
And a lot of people find that what's the point in watching your thoughts pass through like clouds? Like people with ADHD are like, what?
70,000 thoughts a minute. What do you want me to do?
They've got 3 conversations going in their head at once. And it's like they ask it, and they're like, "Which conversation do you want me to focus on?"
Yeah.
It's because often that's with ADHD. It's like people.
There's a yogic thing that's sort of like all is well. What's the solution for this? So that you're constant, like if you're feeling rejected because you've just had a conversation that went badly and you've been triggered, all is well. What's the solution for this? There's always a solution.
Well, the thing if it's RSD is that it calms down fairly quickly.
Yeah.
If it's a personality disorder, then it'll calm down.
Right, okay. So
it's actually quite temporary.
Yeah.
And they calm down, then they go, oh.
Yeah. Another thing we can do for RSD, the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, is good old exercise. Exercise, sunshine, nature. Because again, we say it all the time, you've got to get out there in nature. You've got to enjoy yourselves.
Well, if you do that, if you exercise in nature, you increase so many positive hormones that it's going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Because it's going to increase your endorphins, it's going to increase serotonin, it'll increase dopamine, all the beautiful things.
Yeah.
What other ones? And oxytocin.
Yeah.
Good being in nature.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And it also improves your microbiome. So, in places like Japan, they've actually got green, like inside the cities, they've got these green areas where people can go nature bathe. Right. And they know that it is improving people's health. So it's,
we go for a walk down to the river most days.
Beautiful.
And even though we're in the middle of the city, it's still the river.
Yeah.
It's got beautiful trees.
And another one's positive self-talk. It's sort of funny. One of the things my mum used to say was, if in doubt, take it as a compliment. So it doesn't matter what someone says because, if they're being nasty, they're probably jealous.
Right.
If they're being mean, they're probably jealous.
And why let the truth stand in the way of a good story?
So, it's sort of like sometimes that positive self-talk, we've got to remind ourselves that, hey, I deserve to be here on the planet. And being human is supposed to be fun. It's fun being human.
Well, actually, it's like one thing I notice in counselling, negativity and positivity are both true.
Yes.
Like we're negative and positive all the time. Like we make mistakes all the time.
And they're both catching.
Right.
So if you're hanging around negative people, it's easy to become negative. If you're hanging around positive people, it's easier to become positive.
Right.
So, there's that thing that's sort of said in money circles, as a general rule, if you have your 5 groups of closest friends, will often either go up or down to whatever wealth level they're at. Right. We aspire to this, or, despire, to approximately, to approximately
to some sort of homeostasis.
Yeah, which is sort of interesting. But the same sort of thing with self-talk, so if we're hanging around awful people who are negative all the time, who are bringing us down, not good for our rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
Mm-hmm.
Although maybe it makes you feel same.
Well,
you know, if it's
it's funny. Like something about that is that if people grow up in really like negative family environments, when they grow up, that's their homeostasis.
Yeah.
That's what they could survive in that level of homeostasis, and then they'll actually impose that on their new family system when they get older, ironically.
Well, yeah. And, which brings us to the next tip for rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is social support. We need people. We've got to have a strong support of friends and practitioners. I always think, I've got about half a dozen prackies who I will see depending on what I've got going on. And I think that's one of the things, a good practitioner of whatever you need is worth their weight in gold. So I remember, I'll tell you a funny story about rejection sensitivity. Going back about 10 years ago, my hubby and I were both doing dance lessons. I'm sure I've told you this story. But basically one night we had our first close dancing lesson, but he got the slinky chick in the black dress and I got Mario. Not that there was anything wrong with Mario, but, I didn't get the slinky chick in the black dress, so I didn't want. And I was watching him dance with her. This is like after 2 years of dance lessons. By the time I got in the car, I was
jealous.
I could barely speak to him driving home. It was so ridiculous. I was fully aware it was ridiculous. So I booked into my friend at the time, Norm, the next morning, and I went and had a session. I told him what had happened, and he laughed at me. And he said, Madonna, 99% of marriage breakups are because of bloody women and their jealousy.
Right.
Anyway, I said, fix my brain. Anyway, it was pretty funny.
Such a funny thing.
And then it was hilarious because I think our dance lesson was on a Monday night. I saw Norm on a Tuesday morning.
I can see how that'll play into rejection sensitivity.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it was that day or the next day, but I sent Jason a message, my hubby, saying, we need to talk. He thought I was breaking up with him. It was hilarious. So his brain went, and we've got a friend who's a naturopath, and he thought I'd have fallen in love with him.
Right.
So his brain done this whole other thing, and anyway, it was pretty funny.
Right. And both sparked by a bit of jealousy.
Yeah, after like sides. 27 years of marriage or something like that. So he was just excited that I could still be jealous so much. Right. So social support, building a strong support system of family and friends. But like I say, I think we also need some good prackies on hand.
It's so good to get support. Like as a counsellor, one reason I became a counsellor is because I've had plenty of counselling, and it's just such a powerful thing. It's because sometimes we can't get support from where we are.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And sometimes it's like we can't find what we need. Like I say, often like with ADHD in the protocol, the first part's parenting training.
Yeah.
Because it's usually with kids, so it's like because the first part's getting the parents to understand, because once you can understand what's going on, you can start adapting. Like if your kid starts crying and getting angry every time they're rejected at home, when the other kids aren't, self-awareness is the best thing for the problem to actually know how to start. Because otherwise you're dealing it with like a behavior issue. It's not a behavioral issue. It is externally, but it's not like a normal person.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And because it's easy to understand, once you understand it, it can relax really easily.
Yeah, totally. And also, number 5, our last tip is about creative outlets. Get that brain going by doing something creative.
Isn't that interesting? So creativity, I was looking at different things that cross a line with increasing different hormones, like, the normal ones we talk about, serotonin, dopamine, endorphins and oxytocin,
Yeah.
And the thing is that I was looking, what are the common factors? And exercising and creativity across most of them.
Yeah.
And so exercise has been found to be so powerful, but creativity is also such a thing that we give up being creative when we're kids.
Yeah.
And we get told to be logical after that. And so getting different ways of being creative back so helpful.
Yeah.
To make a picture, to write a little story.
To dance,
yeah.
There's
so many different sorts of creative things too.
Yeah. Awesome. So there's a few tips for RSD.
So
and,
mindfulness, meditation, breath work, regular exercise, positive self-talk, social support, and getting creative.
Getting creative. Awesome. Okay. Have a great one, everyone.